Hello and welcome to your June 14th daily briefing. Today, I'm going to cover a wide variety of topics, including the second stimulus check, the EIDL grant program, Paycheck protection program, hazard pay, and the $600 unemployment. Wide variety, like I said. How I formatted this video is I'm answering your comments and questions from other videos and mixed in our relevant news topics and updates from the last few days. All right, let's get right into it with the very first question from Dinsley Rodriguez, who asks, what about people who received $1,000 through EIDL instead of $10,000? So this is in reference to my updates about the EIDL grant program on another video just 2 days ago. There was a lot of discussion about the EIDL grant in the testimony with the SBA Administrator Carranza on the 10th. However, nothing was really actually said about solving the fact that people are getting shorted $9,000. I don't see any progress being made there, to be completely honest. And yes, that is absolutely absurd if you ask me that they're getting asked these questions and they're like, well, and just there's no real solutions there. And on this same topic, there also were several questions about when the portal will open back up for non-agricultural businesses. Carranza said that it should open back up within a week, should be sometime this coming week. And if you applied and haven't yet received a response, you should expect payment or an answer at least within a week as well. There's 2.5 million businesses that haven't received payment yet. And supposedly, we're going to be seeing all of those being made in 1 week, next week, according to Carranza. So if you own a small business or even a side hustle, make sure you apply once this thing opens back up. It could be looked at as another $1,000 stimulus, even if you own a super small business. Moving on to the next question. Larry C. asks, what happened to hazard pay? Unfortunately, I haven't seen a mention of hazard pay by any legislators in over like a month and a half. It appears that that idea has just kind of been pushed aside in the wake of needing a solution for PUA, that $600 unemployment, and other non-stimulus bills on the table that are taking up the time of legislators. However, according to the news, numbers of new C-word virus cases are hitting record highs in some states that reopen quickly, like the state that I live in, which means we may very well see this introduced back into the conversation if things are getting worse on that front. This could be especially amplified with the fact that I think a lot of people will refuse to shut down completely and quarantine again if things get worse. It's just going to be really hard to give people their freedom back and then take it all away again. And then on this topic, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin also stated that we can't close down the economy again. He says that we tried it, he applauds the swift action that we all took, but we learned from it and ultimately it caused more damage than it saved. I tend to agree with his sentiment on this. If we were in the need to quarantine again, I believe the best way to do it would be to quarantine the most vulnerable individuals and then let everyone else decide for themselves what they want to do. It's the most free way to do it. At 40 million unemployed and projected GDPs to be down to levels not seen in the last 20 years, we really can't afford another complete shutdown. This is all unless the virus mutates or turns out to actually be much worse than it's seeming to be at the current point in time. So moving on to the next question. Patty E. asks, will those on disability be included in another stimulus check? I mean, I can't confirm or deny this 100%. However, I don't see why people on disability would be excluded from another stimulus check. I'd say it's probably a safe assumption that since you were included in the first round, you will likely be included in a second round if it passes. That is to say, if the next stimulus check is a broad stimulus check like the first one. We could see a situation where it's a more targeted thing, like payments only for certain highly impacted groups, but it's too soon to tell exactly whether that'll happen or not. So if you receive the first one, you'll probably receive a second one if there is a second one. All right, moving on to the next question. George E. asks, can you cover why I haven't received my first stimulus check yet? Well, I don't know your specific situation. There's a lot of people who haven't received their first stimulus checks yet and want to know why, so that's why I'm briefly covering this. I'm going to cover some of the most common reasons and just basically go over them real quickly because I've gone over this many times before. First reason could be because you filed taxes and the return isn't processed yet. Next reason, the IRS doesn't have an address or bank account for you or your most recent address. Or the IRS sent your check to the address on your taxes, which is not the same as your current address. They go off the address on your last tax return. Or you were unknowingly filed as a dependent on someone else's taxes, in which case you wouldn't receive a check. Or possibly you received the check or debit card and accidentally threw it away, not knowing what it was. Or, there's many other potential reasons. I would recommend looking at the IRS's impact payment fact page. There's about 50 questions and answers on there, and that should help you narrow down what exactly is going on in your situation. You'll be able to figure out which one applies to you most. Without more information, it's really hard for me to tell what the problem is exactly for your situation. All right, moving on to the next question. Esteban C. asks, I received the $10,000 EIDL grant. What documentation do I need to keep it? And do I need to accept the EIDL loan to keep the grant? So I have yet to see anything that says we'll be required to submit any proof for the EIDL grant. I know it sounds too good to be true, definitely sounds too good to be true to me, but it's been over 80 days since the program opened, so I think they would have already said something if they were going to. It still feels weird to me, but we're probably all good to go without any proof, to be completely honest. As far as the loan goes, I've also yet to see anything saying that you are required to take it. Something I find odd, going back to the proof part, is I know for a fact that the EIDL application opened up and many people were counting contractors as employees and then subsequently received $1,000 per contractor, not employee, and then later were required to not provide any proof. These people have been real quiet ever since those payments were sent out because they definitely received those payments because no one's had to prove anything. So it appears that even those people will probably be able to keep their money as of right now unless the SBA comes out with something later on requiring those who received higher amounts, potentially maybe 5,000 plus, to send in documentation or something. But at this point, I doubt that. There's 5 million applications. All right, moving on to the next question. Norman W. asks, what do you think about getting a loan for a nonprofit model railroad museum? I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and since I can't work, I would like to try it. So this is in reference to my video the other day about a stimulus program where the SBA will actually pay for 6 months worth of loan payments on new and existing SBA loans for a huge variety of things like working capital, purchasing buildings, or even buying an entire business. This program has not received enough attention, and you should definitely check out my video on it if you're interested in it. And unfortunately, Norman, it looks like you can only get an SBA loan on for-profit businesses. Unfortunately, you can't for a nonprofit. On this same topic, there are also a few other general questions that I saw that I might as well cover while I'm on this topic. There was a comment where someone had said they believe that this program is only for existing 7A loans, but that is not the case. I'd like to straighten that out. The SBA will pay for 6 months of all existing and new loans, but you have to get a loan set up before September 22nd for it to work. So there's some urgency there if you're interested. Another person had asked how you get started with this program if you are interested. Well, first you're going to have an opportunity that requires a loan or a business that needs capital or something in mind, and then you'll contact one of your local SBA lenders and they'll go through the qualification process. You can go on the SBA's website and find a list of local lenders and just give one of them a call. It's pretty simple. All right, next question. Do you know when they're going to begin processing more Paycheck Protection loans? Okay, I chose this one because I received this question quite a few times in the last few days for some reason, and I don't know why. The Paycheck Protection Program is still going. It didn't pause recently. I mean, it paused for 2 weeks one time, but it's been open ever since. If you're eligible for a Paycheck Protection loan, definitely apply as soon as you can. There's still funding left. All right, last question. Why is it fair that people who have worked the whole time don't get anything additional, but if you're on unemployment, you could get $450 a week to return back to work? So I'm addressing this because I've seen this comment so many times, or similar comments to this, from people voicing their frustration with this. And the short answer is, it's not fair. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. That's just kind of how things work. I mean, I will say that this is not even voted on yet or voted in yet. We don't know its final form if it does go through. So try not to let this make you too upset, because who knows if it'll go through or what it's going to look like if it does. But yeah, it's not fair. But if we look at it through the eyes of the legislators, or budgetary wise, doing that is better than not having the incentive at all. Doing that would cost us, the taxpayers, 25% less than paying out weekly $600 unemployment to that same person or the same group of people. And people would be productive returning to work, so that helps out the economy more. So it's like, as a taxpayer, which one would you choose? Well, I would choose doing that $450 incentive because it costs less and it's going to be more production in the general economy. Yes, it just seems wasteful and it's not fair, but unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it is with this one. Do I think it would be most fair to give everyone some kind of similar additional pay? Yes, of course. I mean, I know I wouldn't mind an extra $450 a week, but I understand that they're trying to solve a problem and they're just throwing ideas at it. So it's just important not to get frustrated about something that hasn't even happened yet, especially. So that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, please click that thumbs up button and subscribe. Why not? It's free. Until next time, have a profitable day.